Solidão extrema desde o início da vida. Viver num mundo sentindo-se um completo estranho, ameaçado pelo som e pela luz, preso ao ritual, à repetição, à monotonia. Trancar-se dentro de si mesmo sem querer sair. Isso é o autismo. Qual é a causa? Ninguém sabe. Tem cura? Ninguém sabe. O que se sabe é que de cada 150 recém-nascidos, um é autista. Uma em cada 150 crianças. Os casos de autismo aumentaram de uma forma tão impressionante em apenas 20 anos que alguns o classificam como uma epidemia. A questão é, esse aumento é real ou estamos apenas diagnosticando melhor? Hoje a definição de autismo está mais abrangente do que nunca e cobre uma ampla gama de transtornos associados, dos mais graves aos mais leves. E quanto mais crianças são diagnosticadas, mais perguntas surgem. O autismo é hereditário? Seria causado por uma toxina no ambiente ou no útero da mãe? Poderia ser desencadeado pela vacinação infantil ou por transtornos autoimunes? Novas pesquisas vêm fornecendo vislumbres de entendimento. Mas não há qualquer perspectiva de cura ou prevenção. O diagnóstico do autismo muitas vezes significa uma vida inteira de luta.
My first concerns with Fenton started when he was about 20 months old, and I was noticing that he did have some very serious speech delay. We have some late talkers in the family, so that wasn't a real red flag for me. However, he started to seem like he wasn't really noticing us coming and going. He didn't really seem to have a startle reflex. He could be watching television, and one of the things I did was drop a xylophone right behind his back, wouldn't even flinch. He would never reach to be pulled out of the crib. He just really seemed to be kind of checked out. There were other things that really concerned me. He'd get up in the middle of the night and just start laughing, and I knew that was something that autistic children could do. And you know, it would wake me up and my blood would run cold because I mean, this was before we actually got a diagnosis, and I just knew where we were headed. And it's absolutely terrifying. It is, it's absolutely terrifying. He does not follow instruction. Go pick up the red ball. Put your jacket on. He has no understanding of what I'm saying to him. He cannot follow direction. Avocado? Fenton doesn't seem to be able to, sometimes he'll get all the syllables in when he's repeating words back. Avocado? Good. Okay, good talking. But it never sounds the same way twice. Good. Avocado? Avocado? He still doesn't answer to his name. If I'd be filling the car up with gas, you know, usually you can knock on the window and get your baby to look at you, and they laugh and smile back. Sometimes he wouldn't even turn to me. It's heartbreaking.
At the moment, when a child is diagnosed with autism, parents feel helpless that there isn't something that the scientific community and the clinical community is offering them. We really don't know what causes autism, and at the moment we have relatively few therapies for autism. So what happens is parents try everything.
Our day starts out with our in-home therapy program. He works for 3 hours with the therapist. We get a quick snack we head off to speech therapy, and Fenton has one-on-one therapy with a speech therapist twice a week.
Let's do it one more time, okay?
All right, we'll see you Tuesday.
We do have occupational therapy once a week.
We're just running just a touch late.
And one day a week, Fenton gets IV chelation and some minerals.
I sent in that last blood test on Fenton.
He has oxygen therapy in a pressurized chamber. We are doing this to help treat inflammation and increase blood flow in the brain. A day with Fenton is a pretty busy day.
A oxigenoterapia está entre os tratamentos para o autismo, que podem ser considerados tanto como terapêutica de ponta quanto como desespero de causa. Essa abordagem de tentar qualquer coisa já levou especialistas e pais desesperados à beira do confronto. Mas os relatos de cura do autismo com dietas livres de glúten, terapia de quelação, que elimina os metais do corpo, vitaminas e outros métodos nunca se sustentaram no processo científico.
I understand why families try all these things. I probably would try them as well. The problem is that there's what's called the placebo effect. And oftentimes parents will see a little blip of improved behavior or whatever, and then it'll go away.
David Amaral, do Instituto Mind de Sacramento, na Califórnia, está chefiando o maior estudo mundial sobre crianças autistas. O projeto Fenômeno do Autismo. Até o final, 1.800 crianças irão participar. E hoje, na sua busca pela cura, Jack chegou até aqui.
Come on. I would like to take Fenton up to participate in the Autism Phenome Project because I think that autism can be such a lifelong disability for a person, and I don't want that for my child. If after participating they were able to find out some information on my son, what a great benefit that would be, especially for Fenton.
Jack Murphy e seu filho Fenton acabaram de chegar ao Instituto Mind em Sacramento, na Califórnia. Eles irão passar por vários dias de testes rigorosos para que os pesquisadores possam entender melhor o tipo específico de autismo que Fenton apresenta. Os resultados irão mostrar como ele se compara com a população geral de autistas.
The biggest problem we have in understanding autism is that there appear to be so many different types. Yet we don't know how to pick out when a child is diagnosed with autism, which type he or she has.
Embora a ciência ainda não saiba quantos tipos de autismo existem, todos os que já foram diagnosticados compartilham, em maior ou menor grau, comportamentos semelhantes. Problemas de linguagem. A criança autista geralmente fala tarde ou nunca fala. E algumas têm maneiras estranhas de falar no decorrer da vida. Dificuldade para se relacionar com outros seres humanos. Falta de empatia ou habilidade para entender a perspectiva da outra pessoa. Comportamentos repetitivos e interesses restritos. Pessoas que têm autismo geralmente se prendem à rotina e à monotonia. As mudanças assustam e confundem. Pesquisadores do Instituto Mind estão em busca de outras semelhanças entre as crianças autistas, no intuito de se aproximar das possíveis causas da doença.
Megan, can you put his chin up a little bit, okay?
O sistema imunológico, aparelho digestivo, genes, ambiente, aparência, tudo isso está sendo examinado a fundo.
Okay, let's try again.
Na primeira etapa, são feitas imagens tridimensionais do rosto e da cabeça de Fenton, para saber se elas revelam alguma anormalidade. Em seguida, eles examinam dentro da cabeça. Uma ressonância magnética vai mostrar se Fenton tem o cérebro aumentado, outro possível marcador do autismo.
About 20% of individuals with autism have really big heads. They're at the 97th percentile. Not all parts of the brain are growing rapidly, but only some parts. And of those some parts, the one that's most consistent is the frontal lobe. So what does the frontal lobe do? Well, the frontal lobe that does things like make plans for the future. probably involved in social behavior, allowing us to know what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. They think of other people sort of more like tools or objects. And the lack of that ability to think about what somebody else is thinking might be due to the fact that the frontal lobe is not working properly.
Do you see that my son has an enlarged brain?
Yeah, we're going to need to do the measurements, and then we're also going to be able to sample his blood to see whether...
It felt like being validated to me, to know that there are many issues going on with these children. It's not just a behavioral issue.
Enquanto Jack espera pelos resultados da ressonância, os exames continuam. Os pesquisadores colocam no menino uma touca com sensores para medir as ondas cerebrais enquanto ele ouve sons de várias intensidades.
Quite often, children with autism have sensory sensitivities. You might find them holding their ears when there are loud sounds or having large reactions to being touched. One of the things that we're interested in is seeing whether or not their brains differentiate sounds that are soft, medium, and loud.
Can you hear those sounds in the headphones?
If we find that someone cannot track changes in the intensity of sound so that their brain response to a quiet sound and to a louder sound is pretty similar, like if somebody enters a hallway and starts talking, you might hear the intensity of the sound not changing as that person comes toward you. There will undoubtedly be many instances of surprise and confusion because of the lack of accurate predictions of changes in the environment.
Oh, you're usually fine about being here, buddy.
Part of the difficulty for them is they don't know what's happening. Imagine if we rolled out of bed and anything could happen. Anybody could show up. Any activity could emerge. That would be a very confusing and disorganizing way to start a day. But that's what the life of a young child with autism is often like.
Bubbles. Bubbles.
Sally Rogers, do Instituto Mind, é uma autoridade mundial em intervenção precoce. Ela ajudou a descobrir o que no momento é a maior esperança para a criança autista. Terapia comportamental intensiva na fase de desenvolvimento do cérebro, quando ele ainda pode mudar. Não é a cura, mas uma maneira de amenizar os sintomas. Os benefícios podem durar a vida toda, mas a chance de sucesso é maior nas crianças muito novas.
The window is open in a special way in infancy. In infancy, babies' brains are literally forming. The neurons are moving, they're establishing connections, they're connecting by extending out little processes to each other with a little gap that the currents can actually flow across. And that's how one neuron communicates with another and how the whole brain manages to talk to itself. After all these connections form, a baby has a lot more connections that they'll ever need. And so the brain actually starts to clear away some of the clutter. It's called a process called pruning. And so that pruning out process is going to result in a more efficient brain. We want to make sure that the things are in place at the time of pruning, our language, social communication, and play, so that we don't lose some of the wiring that would support those during the pruning process.
Jason Sorensen tem autismo grave. Hoje ele está com 2 anos, mas Sally vem trabalhando com ele desde que tinha 1 ano e 7 meses.
For Jason, our highest priorities right now are developing a sense of communication, that messages go back and forth between people. We want him to understand that eyes and faces carry messages, and especially we want him to know that voices send messages.
Roll him up and throw him in a pan.
So an awful lot of what we're doing with Jason are setting up situations in which he has something to communicate.
Why don't you see if you can add like a stop sign to that and see if you can get a gaze shift to your face when you do a big, yeah, and then wait for him to look to you to open that gate up. Jason, stop. Jason. Jason, go.
Did you get a glance?
Yeah, a little glance. We're also working on with the adults not to pick him up when he cries, as we've discussed that in the past. So he's doing the arms up much better.
That arms up is beautiful.
So that's going really well. He's doing really well, yeah. And we're just amazed with last night and the night before how he started to kiss. That has just been a huge thing in our mind. Will you give me a kiss?
Trabalhar o autismo durante o momento em que o cérebro ainda pode ser mudado é a melhor esperança que se tem atualmente. Enquanto isso, a pesquisa científica continua.
Clinton has never played peekaboo. There are many things you would think might be hard, like having the blood draws, and that's not fun. And the MRI, you know, you would think that might be the hardest. But the hardest part is really taking apart and looking closely at where your child is developmentally.
Hello. Who's there? Hello.
It is really hard to, you know, you're moving along and you're doing your therapies and you're doing the day-to-day stuff, and then when you come to the evaluations, it really does remind you how delayed your child is.
Durante os 3 dias e noites que passou no Instituto Mine, Jack contribuiu muito para a pesquisa do autismo. A ressonância magnética do cérebro de Fintan mostrou que ele é substancialmente maior que a média para sua idade. Não é uma resposta, mas uma pequena peça no enorme quebra-cabeça do autismo.
In the beginning, I was reading every book I could get my hands on and checking every therapy out, and was very gung-ho. I was going to just take on the world, and I have been trying to do that. But it's going to take a lot longer. Reality is sinking in, and it's going to take a lot longer. But I'm very hopeful. I think we're going to see good progress with him.
Finn, how about the bubbles? Are you ready for this, Johnny? Tell me if I do this right. Let me see everybody's thumbs. Thumbs up if I do it right. Thumbs down if I do it wrong. I'm going to ask Pam for something. Okay? I'm going to ask Pam for something. You tell me if I do it right or wrong. Are you ready?
Embora hoje se saiba que a intervenção precoce é vital, muitos não tiveram essa sorte. O trabalho de ensinar habilidades sociais que permitam aos adolescentes autistas se relacionarem no mundo é crucial na sua transição para a idade adulta.
Pam, can I have the DS now? I mean, I've done my work.
I'm really sorry, and I'm really proud of you and happy that you did your work. Unfortunately, we have a rule that the DS is for the bus ride home.
No! I don't want that. I want it now. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. Right or wrong, guys?
For these guys, they're in the moment. If they don't get what they want, it's the end of the world. And if you're also impulsive and somewhat emotionally reactive, and you're not thinking anymore, it can lead to some real meltdowns for these guys.
Ready, big guy?
Just the simple concept that we often teach elementary school kids and younger kids, that when you don't get what you want, that all is not lost. There may be something else you can have here if you can maintain that self-control.
When you shouted at me, what happened?
Don't even want to get it?
I'm afraid of you. I get scared.
I'm not kidding. Yeah.
It's harder when you're 18 or 19 because when you melt down, it's bigger and it's larger and it's a little scarier sometimes too.
Did I wait quietly?
Nope.
What was I doing that was not quiet?
Because you are yelling and screaming, pounding.
I was pounding. What should I do instead, Cal?
That's nicely, but I have a better suggestion.
Let me hear it.
Instead of asking your DS, how about you ask for seconds for when it comes to snack burst?
I'm not going to get the DS, but I could have seconds with snack, right?
Yeah.
That's like something else. I like that. That was great, Kevin. That was great.
Another key component of social skills training is to teach what doesn't come naturally.
All right, let's take a couple minutes and we'll find out what we have in common. At the end, we're going to see what we remember about each other, okay? So let me have you...
Oh, I want to do Chelsea, you idiot.
Well, hold on, Kev. Do you
She's more attractive.
Do you want... Listen, do you want to talk to Chelsea? I have a way for you to do it. You want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to be first, or could you be second? Because then you'll get what you want.
Second.
Good deal, man. I'm so proud of you. You're the man. You're the man. Okay? All right. Very good. So we're going to have you talk...
For our students, their ability to converse with others, to know what might be socially relevant to say, doesn't come so naturally. We have to make that explicit for them.
Do you go to the beach?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Oh, like what kind of like recent
I live at the beach.
You live at the beach? What beach?
I don't know.
You don't remember? No.
If you have trouble taking other people's perspective, as individuals with autism have, then they're not going to know to do things like check to see if people want to hear more when going on about their interest, or to edit certain remarks that others might find uncomfortable or offensive. You want to know what he does?
No.
Can he find out what you want to do?
Can
I just show you one thing? If you ask others about themselves...
Do you really want to know what my things are?
I think he does.
I do. What do you like to do when you're not in school, Kev?
Usually I like to publish things, like comic books, for example.
Did I tell you that I make comic books?
I like to make them, not read them.
Okay.
So someone with Asperger's has quite a bit of language, but they have what we call a pragmatic language problem, chit-chat, social use of language. And even though they're getting A's in astrophysics, they may miss the perspective taking involved in understanding what to say or what not to say to someone else in a social context. Did you, or how is... When you see me do a skill lesson, it's just one part of a larger process of teaching skills, because what we know from the research on social skills is social skills don't generalize very well to the natural setting unless you coach people in the real deal natural situation.
Speak up, David, and also eye contact. Be friendly, okay?
Halfway, Jack.
We know that if you repeat something over and over and over again, learning does occur.
And David, first thing, license back, okay?
Thank you. Halfway, Jack.
We all need feedback on how we're doing. How are we going to improve if we don't know how we did, what went well, and what we could have done differently?
I could do more work on the window.
In what way?
Talking green people.
She rates how he did. He rates himself. They see how that jives. They see what went well, what he could have tweaked a little bit.
So what'd you rate yourself today?
4.5.
I have a scale of 5. Okay. You know what? I said 4.75. I thought you did a fabulous job. And I loved you kept busy the whole time. You looked for jobs.
David has shown just remarkable progress in his ability to tolerate frustrating tasks, first in a school environment, and now be able to take it into an employment setting. This is a great sign that he can make it in the work world.
Dave, when we get back, I'll do the other evaluation, okay?
Yeah.
I took cooking classes in my senior year.
You can cook my dinner anytime. I think this is going to be pretty good, Les.
We made it all together, you and I.
Leslie diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. She is somebody who's done very well in school.
I mostly got lots of A's and some B's.
She certainly has average to above average intellectual ability, despite her social difficulties.
In my high school, it feels like a little bit more like a jail cell or a penitentiary. There's too many rowdy kids going on, saying mean things and fooling around.
If you have an autism spectrum disorder, you're more likely to feel threatened than others. You may have sensory issues that make the world a scarier place. Too noisy, too loud, too much touch, too much movement. And so many people on the spectrum, with Asperger's, with other forms of autism, are threatened on a daily basis.
Well, I'm being bullied a lot.
The world is a scarier place.
There was some boy who tried to physically attack me and he was talking.
Na terapia de grupo que faz uma vez por semana no consultório de Jack Baker, Leslie tem a oportunidade de conversar com outros jovens pacientes da síndrome de Asperger.
When you say physically attack, can you say a little bit what happened?
He tried to, go after me, tried to attack me, but the teacher held him back.
Why don't you defend yourself? Why don't you fight back? You gotta stand for yourself.
Girls don't hit boys.
How do we do that, though, Les?
And boys don't hit girls.
We're all on board with this idea that if someone bullies us, Leslie, right? You ready, Leslie? If somebody bullies us, Tyler, right? Yeah. If somebody bullies us, that is, they say mean things to us and they won't stop, or they threaten to hurt us, that I can see why we would want to...
I will fight back.
Well, we want to fight back.
I'd prank them.
But is that what you're going to do?
Yes.
And what does that mean? How do you mean fight them back? What would you do?
I will.
If someone attacks you, you gotta use self-defense, though. See, self-defense, you gotta defend yourself. I mean, you can't just not do nothing about it.
Does that involve hitting the person back, or does it involve escaping from the person?
Escaping. You should never hit anybody, though.
Because?
Because that's only gonna get you in trouble.
But I don't want to get in trouble. But if I've been hit so badly, I had to hit him back.
What about getting him fired? What about getting him fired or getting him expelled? Would that make you feel better? I saw Leslie get upset. She looked either angry or sad, sullen, put her head down. I realized something was going on for her. And that's a signal. I got to pay attention to that. Hold on, Leslie. You okay? She doesn't want to
I don't want to talk.
Because if we leave it alone, it could escalate for her. It could be really difficult. Take a break for a second?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
She may have an emotional reaction that's harder for her to recover from. All right. Hey, Leslie, when you're ready, come on back because we need you here. But you get yourself a little break, okay? I think what happens is we're all talking. When you think about these guys going off to become independent, functioning adults, they need to get jobs. They need to be able to have a meaningful and pleasing social life. Leslie really is making this transition to adult life.
Hello, Miss Schneider. How you doing?
I'm fine.
Good to meet you.
It's good to see you.
Can I have a mock interview? It gives the individual a chance to get a feel for what a real interview would be like. What we're trying to do is touch on those difficult questions, those questions that may be a roadblock for her. So always with Leslie, it's going to be with communication. Leslie, what would you think is an area that you need to work on the most?
I need to work on expressing myself and others' opinions.
How could you communicate more effectively? By using what?
Typing skills.
That's
using an email.
Absolutely.
And phone.
Absolutely. That's what you wanted. What you were seeing was someone who was trying to process so much, and our job is to give her repetition, because we know if as you get more repetition doing something, you feel more comfortable. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I grew up in North Plainfield along with my family. My mother is Colombian. I'm bilingual. I also graduated from North Plainfield High School, and I received many honor rolls for being a bright young lady. I also like to go through science-related topics and health-related topics.
Okay. Your eye contact is great. Keep smiling. Keep smiling. Look what happened. You smiled. What happened? Automatically.
I'm not even looking at you and I was smiling.
Right? What did I automatically do?
To hire me.
No, I didn't hire you. But it made me smile.
Yes, it made you smile.
Absolutely.
Autistic students can learn when you teach things very explicitly and you repeat it over and over in the real situation. People can learn to cope better with situations and find ways to get what they want, get what they need.
We gotta be careful.
Vacinação infantil. Na esperança de identificar a causa por trás do autismo de seus filhos, muitos pais apontam as vacinas do cronograma de imunização que se tornou rotina na primeira infância. Mas o único estudo que mostrou uma ligação entre as vacinas e o autismo nunca foi repetido. E pesquisas feitas no mundo inteiro nunca mostraram essa ligação. O que sabemos é que o autismo é genético. E a busca pelos genes responsáveis está sendo realizada no mundo todo. Quando ela for concluída, milhares de famílias terão contribuído com seu DNA. E mesmo assim, a resposta pode ser mais complexa do que o próprio genoma.
If you look on average in the population, it's about 70% of the risk for autism is estimated to be genetic. Now that's if you look at very strict autism. If you look at autism spectrum disorder, that has a heritability that might be close to 90%. It does leave place for environment, but it says that the majority of risk is genetic.
Esta é a família Kirton. 6 filhos, todos com alguma forma de autismo. Esse é provavelmente o maior número de crianças com um transtorno encontradas numa mesma família. Famílias como os Kirtons são uma das chaves para desvendar a genética do autismo, porque o que torna o estudo tão complexo é que não há 2 crianças autistas iguais.
Well, autism is not a single thing. Autism is a very complex, what we call in medical terms, a syndrome. So it's actually kind of a grab bag, in a way, of many, many different conditions, so that autism is perhaps better thought of as the autisms.
They all have something, and we could probably write a book on each child as to what they do. It's just so diverse.
Don't you dare. What has been and what is hardest for me through us having 6 children on the autism spectrum is just the never-ending, unrelenting stress.
All day, all day, all day.
Sarah is classic autistic. She's 6.5. She's still in diapers. She doesn't say anything hardly at all still. You want milk? Say, Sarah, say milk. Say milk. Milk. Say milk. Milk? Nephi is officially diagnosed with Asperger's. He has times when he's just like a regular old boy, riding his bike, doing boy things, playing with toys, whatever. But if things are not going Nephi's way very well, he will have what is termed as a meltdown. He'll just cry and fuss.
He does it most days. He used to do it every day. Sometimes he just won't stop. It's one of the most difficult things about having children on the autism spectrum. I used to dread getting up every day, knowing that I'd have to deal with Nephi's tantrums. That is Nephi's meltdown. Bobby is 14 years old. He borders on high-functioning autism and Asperger's syndrome.
Bobby's focus is grades. He will come home from school, jump on the computer, get on the internet, and he'll look and see how his grades were for that day.
Wow. Oh my goodness sakes, Bob.
It's still an A-.
That's really good. Just an A-. What are we talking about? Just an A-. That's wonderful, Bob.
It gives up to you, mate.
You are super smart, Bobs. Hey, Ammon. Gonna have your dinner ready soon, preciousness.
As far as Ammon's autism, he is considered to be on the far end of the scale as being most severe.
He can figure out pretty much anything, how to destroy and get into anything, climb over anything.
Yeah, monkey boy, because he climbs on things. So maybe before we were blocking off the kitchen area, we'd find him on the cupboards or on the countertops, and we caught him a few times on top of the refrigerator.
Amen.
No.
Mary has a diagnosis of pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified. It essentially means she's autistic to some degree, but it's not very serious, and they really can't pinpoint it, put their finger on it.
She's still delayed in speech. She doesn't speak as clear as other children her age, but we can talk to her. We can tell her to do things, go places. You know, we actually carry on a conversation with her.
Such a good helper. Yay! Bork, turn away.
Emma is 10 years old. Of the children, she's probably the second least affected. We say Mary's probably the least, and Emma would be next after that. But she's still one heck of a handful. In school, she gets there, say as a transition, which is most Asperger's kids have a hard time with, or things aren't going well, or she feels slighted in some way. She will also cry and fuss and carry on. And
they were whispering and you couldn't hear what they wanted to do for the answer.
No, I could hear it all.
The way we cope with our daily life is just deal.
Just kind of came to the realization we are where we are, we have what we have, and
this is our life.
Do the best with what we've got. We lock all doors. We had to put up the gate, and so they can't get into the kitchen and destroy it.
Hurry so you can get in the room with me.
notice there's no sheets on the beds because they don't stay on. We put them on and they're off within a few minutes. Oh, Sarah, get down, please. Come on down. Be nice to her. She's just a little sister. But we used to have a pair of blinds there, and Ammon just knocked them down and just destroyed it. He just tore it apart, broke to pieces. So blinds didn't work. And of course the walls look terrible. Sarah decided she liked to peel the paint off. She doesn't eat it, she just peels it. I mean, the whole room looks like a wreck, I know.
The risk to a mother and a father who have one child with autism to have a second child with autism is in the range of 10% for each child. So it's a very rare event.
Thought you wanted to go to bed, Minnie.
This is a very important family for us to study.
Well, we decided to get involved at the University of Utah has an autism program, a study program that is genetic in nature. Then we thought, well, genetic study, we have 6 autistic kids, maybe we have something we can contribute here.
Are you my mother? A mother bird sat on her egg. Up came the baby bird.
Pop! We're trying to find families where the autism might be inherited. In our studies, we try to get both biological and behavioral data. So on the biological end, we take blood samples, extract DNA, and we look for genetic markers. On the behavioral end, we do a lot of different testings in a lot of different areas, and then try to see if the families who may have a similar marker also have a similar behavioral profile.
Yep. You think you're going to get away, huh?
The tests that we use are designed to create social situations where you're looking at how the child interacts in a social way. So when you present a toy that they really like, how do they ask for more? How do they show you that they like it?
See my phone? Look. Hello? Is Ammon there? Sure, here he is. Here he is. It's for you. Here. No? No? No phone? Oh, here. Here, come on. How about other feelings? What kind of things make you mad? Does anything ever make you mad? Do you ever get mad?
Oh, yes.
Yeah? I feel like inside when you get mad, what does that feel like?
Like a buildup.
I was just, having a panic.
Let's say that to have autism means you've got 10 or 12 genes that interact with each other in a negative way, and that's what causes autism. But let's say somebody else in the family didn't get the 10 or 12 bad gene variants. They got, say, 3 or 4 of them.
Because, it's been so long.
You can see some personality traits. They're sort of like the faint shadow of autism.
I actually preferred to spend more time alone.
Okay.
Than I did with other kids. With my books and my drawings, and just doing that, and my mom saying that, yeah, you just preferred to be inside.
When I ask her how much time she spends alone as a child, I'm trying to see where her natural preference is. We kind of think if you're the type of person who likes to have a lot of alone time, that's a little bit like autism. Child, were you pretty easily stressed out?
I did. I stressed out easily as a child.
Okay.
Uma leve sombra do autismo. Comportamentos estranhos, preferências estranhas. Pesquisas mostram que eles estão presentes em alguns pais e irmãos de autistas. Não é o autismo em si, mas uma conexão que pode ajudar a explicar os elos genéticos que são transmitidos em algumas famílias.
Ammon, other way, precious. Come on, my love. I'm more concerned than John is about the possibility of us not having grandchildren from our children. Because their ability to be socially, really in tune with other people is just impaired. They may not ever be able to find somebody that they can have, you know, a marital relationship with. I guess I just wonder, is it going to happen to my children or is it not?
Leslie agora está na faculdade, com bolsa de estudos e só tira a nota máxima. Ela ainda está procurando um emprego de meio período. Pinton foi recentemente diagnosticado com uma doença autoimune e está fazendo tratamento. Ele recentemente começou a dizer algumas palavras. David completou a rotação de cargos trabalhando como voluntário no banco de alimentos. Hoje, ele está empregado com sucesso numa loja de livros.
How is your day going?
Kevin ainda está desenhando histórias em quadrinhos e completando os requisitos para o diploma de 2º grau. E os Kirtons continuam na sua batalha. Mas uma boa notícia. Eman está finalmente dizendo algumas palavras. Uma das favoritas da família é papá.
Versão brasileira, DPN Santos.